look up hustle in the dictionary, Chris Rood's picture would appear next to it. He's the author of The Source of the Deal, an entrepreneur, a real estate wholetailer, investor in multifamily, mobile home parks, and a real estate coach. Chris made an appearance on Grant Cardone's show a couple of years ago. In this episode, Chris shares with us how he is making it big in real estate and why mobile home parks are hidden gems. All right, welcome back to another episode. We have Chris joining us from sunny Florida. Chris, how are you today?
Man, I'm good. I woke up this morning, the sun's shining, the waves are breaking, and the birds are chirping, and I'm drinking a good old cup of joe on my front porch here. So life is good.
Nice.
In quarantine life right now.
Quarantine life in sunny Florida, man. Love it. So why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you transitioned into real estate?
Well, always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me. I mean, in fourth, fifth grade, I was selling baseball and basketball cards out of the back of my book sack at a premium price because I was selling them on the value of the rookie card and statistics. I just had a natural niche for selling. I had a call come through. I had a natural niche for selling, right? And so I always was interested in business and entrepreneurship. And when I turned 19 or 18, went to college and still kept thinking in my mind, hey, I want to start a business, but I didn't know what to start. So I went to work for my dad. Sorry, I keep getting calls come through. I went to work for my dad and in the oil field and worked for him for a little while. And I was trying to figure out what can I do to start a business. And he told me to go get the oil change in one of his trucks one day. I brought the vehicle to get the oil change and people complaining how long it took. So I said, I bet you if I make some cards and hand them out and I go meet the people at their house and maybe bring the service to them, that would be a good business model. I can make some money. So I borrowed $100 from my dad. He showed me how to change oil. The first oil change I did was on his truck, and I started handing out cards and started changing oil out the back of my truck in college as a junior in college, and did really well with that. I scaled that into making $100,000 a year by the time I was a senior in college. And when I graduated, I had diversified into detailing vehicles, oil changes, tire rotations, air filters, and I started doing rock chip repairs and replacing windshields. I was making a lot of money for a 22-year-old, right? From there, I graduated college. Like I'm not gonna go get a job. I'm gonna keep doing this, right? And the same guy keeps calling me. Sorry about that. I'm gonna keep doing this while everybody else was getting jobs, making 30, 40 grand a year. I was like, I'm gonna scale this. So I was like, I can't scale this without getting a physical location. So I started looking for locations, and just so happened to come across a motivated seller, which he didn't really own the property. He was leasing it out, and he was trying to sell it to me for some super premium, but I come to find out he wasn't even paying rent. So I went behind his back to the landlord, and he wasn't even in a contract because he wasn't even paying rent, and she just gave it straight to me. So that was the start of my first location. Then, I doubled my income when I got the location. It's a long story, but it ties into real estate. Then 2005, 2006 comes. We had Hurricane Katrina when it hit New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Millions of people got displaced out of New Orleans, and they either moved to Atlanta, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Lafayette, Houston, and they got dispersed all throughout the South. Well, this is right before the crash of 2007. So the real estate was already propped up, and all these people were trying to come and find houses. And I had just built a spec house, I think 3 years prior to that. And I noticed that home values had freaking just doubled, right? So I told my wife, I said, let's sell our house and try to flip our house. And she said, okay. Well, we landscaped the front yard, painted a few rooms, put it back on the market, and we sold it like in 33 days, and we made $124,000 in our first flip.
Wow.
And I was probably 24, 25 at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, this is, I made $124,000. So I took that money and I bought another location, right? I found another motivated seller of a quick loop. He was on drugs. He was being crazy, not paying his taxes. He was about to lose the building. So I actually made him an offer. He took it, bought that location, doubled my income again. Then I flipped a piece of property. So that was the first taste of real estate for me. I was like, man, real estate, you can make a lot of money. But I didn't know how to like find deals yet. I wasn't a professional real estate investor. I was just doing it by chance. Then I bought a piece of property on the bayou, which is, if you don't know the bayou, it's not a river. It's not a creek. It's like a muddy channel of water. I bought that 2 months later, 3 months later, I flipped that. I think I made like 40 grand. Took that, used that to buy another location. Then I bought a foreclosure. Bought that rehab, lived in that for 18 months, flipped that and made 65 grand. And I kept using real estate to buy more locations, right? For my mechanic shop and Quick Lube. I got up to 4 locations, I had 33 employees, making real good money. And I decided to focus on that for a little while. So I got away from real estate for a little while, for a couple of years, made a good amount of money, saved up some money. Then I got back into real estate and bought a bunch of single family homes. This is around 2011, 2012. I bought about $3 million worth of single family homes, just making a bunch of offers on MLS. Well, scaled up to about 33 houses, had them all rented. I was making probably 14, 15 grand a month positive cash flow. Then 2014 came and oil went from $125 a barrel to $24 a barrel. We lost thousands of jobs in the South, especially Lafayette, where I'm from, in Louisiana. Half my rentals went vacant. The sales of my stores started going down every quarter by like 10, 15%. So I was like, man, I'm in a bond. I'm going to having to go bankrupt because, I mean, I don't like, everybody's losing their job. Nobody's coming into my shops anymore because most of our shops were dependent on fleet accounts from the oil field, and they were all going bankrupt or moving out to Texas. So right around that time, I was searching on the internet, like real estate investing, and this thing popped up called wholesaling. I'm like, what the hell is wholesaling real estate? So I was like, I looked into that. I was like, this makes sense. I could do that. So I actually tried to wholesale some of my properties. I made a couple grand doing that. I couldn't quite put it together. So I hired a mentor, 3 mentors back to back to back. And I freaking crushed it in that program. 30 days after one of my mentors, I made like 47 grand part-time flipping, wholesaling houses on the side while I was running my shops. After I made that 47 grand, I told my managers at my shops, I said, look, I'm not working here no more. I gave them the keys. I said, don't call me unless somebody dies. I'm focusing on this full time. I'm glad I did that because I started making so much money. I was making 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a month doing that. I was able to cover all my losses that I was having with my single family homes and cover the losses I was having from my shops losing revenue. So I freaking focused on that. And right around that time, I realized that I was actually really good at coaching too, because I was posting checks in the group and had all the new people coming in asking me how to do this and that. And I'm like doing all the coaches work. And then they asked me to go work in their sales department. So I learned the back end of a coaching program. And I was one of the top salesmen, for their coaching program. And then after that, I was like, dude, I'm not going to I'm just gonna start my own coaching program if I'm doing all the coaching for them. So I started my own coaching program. And from there, I started selling off all my shops, selling off all my single family homes. And recently, about 2.5, 3 years ago, I started, just investing in apartments and mobile home parks. Because I realized the single family home model is, it works if that's what you want. If you want to just own like 20, 30 houses free and clear and retire on that, that's great. You could do that and it makes sense and you can make some money. But you can't get rich doing that, right? Mm-hmm. But you can get rich with multifamily when you have 30, 40, 50, 60 units in one spot, right? So I had the realization that I was going to take the wholesale model that I learned and I was going to apply that to mobile home parks and apartments to find motivated sellers in that department so I can buy a bunch of units all at one spot. So that's what I've been up to the past 3 years, focusing on. I wholesale and flip single family homes, and I take all that money and I buy mobile home parks and apartments from motivated sellers, usually value add. We go in there, we inject a bunch of capital into it, improve the property, raise the rent. And I wish I'd have done it earlier, right? Nothing to get single family homes. It's just it's not a scalable model.
Yeah.
From the property management aspect of it, right? Mm-hmm. If you got let's just say you got 200 houses And if they're all across one city, I mean, that's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. That reminds me of a relative of mine. He's got like 400 single families back in our hometown. I mean, it's just like you figure that really is a nightmare trying to manage that many single family properties. It's like always something going on, running from here and there, right? So you got
Yep.
into the
Well, it kills your maintenance people. What it does
uh,
is it kills your maintenance people, because every time they fix something, they have to go, they stop, move for each individual location. When you have 40 units in one spot, they can fix 3 or 4 different things in that one spot. You're compressing time so much on the maintenance side and the property management side. Those are the two issues. Single family homes are great if they're all in 1 square mile radius.
yeah.
If you had 200 of them, but I mean, if they're spread out between 20 miles, 15, 20 miles, I mean, between maintenance and property management, that's what keeps it from being scalable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you scaled into apartments and mobile home parks. So why mobile home parks?
Man, it's a hidden gem that people don't really know about. Wall Street's been chasing apartment buildings for the past, 5 to 8 years now. Well, about 5 years now, they've been going hard because it's been a safe asset. But people fail to realize that apartments are becoming unaffordable, right? When Wall Street got into apartments 5 years ago, they started buying it at super premium because these hedge funds would just want to place money. So they're buying it at 5 and 6 cap on some of these apartments, when before, you could get apartments for a 10 to 12 cap. And that just drove the price up of apartments because they're paying a premium. And what happens when they drive the price up, they have to transfer over that cost to the tenants. So they've been raising the rent. So it's not affordable like it used to be to rent an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried calling a decent location, an apartment, see what a 3-bedroom or a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom costs? It's almost the same as having a house.
Yeah.
So I realized that I didn't want to be in that space as much. I like apartments. I own some apartments, but I realized that the wave of the future is affordable housing. Right? America's not getting richer, it's getting poorer. Mm-hmm. Less and less people are going to be building single family homes. Less and less people are going to be owning their own homes. More and more people are going to be needing affordable housing because the job market is just, we don't live in the 50s and 60s where the middle class is just stout and huge, right? There's average income in America right now. I don't know the exact statistics, so I'm not going to spew it out, but I know it's dropping year after year. And you see the middle class is done, right? We just have rich people and we have poor people. So how can you help people who are poor have houses, and it's not going to be an apartments or single family homes, and that's going to be the biggest pool of people. So why don't you provide a solution for that? And that's going to be affordable housing, which is mobile home parks, right? There's a reason why Warren Buffett's buying up all these mobile home parks around the country. And there's a reason why he's buying up all these manufacturers of mobile. He just bought out Clayton Mobile Homes. He's not he's not sitting around telling everybody that, but I don't watch what they say. I watch what they do. Right. Mm-hmm. And I took note of that about 4 years ago, that I read an article about what he had said about mobile home parks or mobile homes, how it's affordable housing and it's the last vestiges of affordable housing. And that made a lot of sense to me because I think the next 20 years, between the baby boomers that are all retiring and letting go their single family homes and selling them and downsizing, that you got tons of baby boomers who have a lot of money who are actually buying nice mobile homes to live in, right? Mm-hmm. And they're parking them in these communities, these senior living communities, 55 and over. And then you have all these people that are on fixed income who can't afford $1,500 a month in rent, but they can afford $700-800 a month in rent. And that's where my play was, because I feel like, long term, I think mobile home parks are going to be great. And the fact, not even just the fact that it's affordable, everything about it is affordable on my end of it too, as far as maintenance. If the frickin' roof goes out, it might cost me, I can get a brand new metal roof for $2,500. That'll last me 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. If a pipe bust, I ain't got to bust through a concrete ground. I can just send a plumber out there. He can crawl in there and fix it. if if they destroy, let me give you an example. If somebody destroys a mobile home, it might cost me $5 to $7 grand to like redo the whole thing and make it brand new again. If somebody destroys my single family home, I've had it cost me $40,000 to fix it back up.
Yeah.
If somebody destroys an apartment, you're still looking probably at 15 grand, 20 grand, right? Everything about it is what? Affordable, right? But the rents are still way better in relation to what you pay for it, as far as cost per unit, right? I could buy a park and pay 10-12,000 a unit and get $700-800 a month in rent.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do that with an apartment or a single family home.
So you see the mobile home parks as being a way to kind of fill that the housing shortage gap that we're going to be faced with over the next decade. So what exactly what is the play like? Like how should you approach a mobile home park investment? Because I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there that aren't really familiar with this.
Well, you can hire me as your mentor, and I'll show you how to find these deals. You got to go direct to seller. You use the wholesale model, which the wholesale model is just direct to seller marketing, right? The best deals are not on MLS. They're not on LoopNet. They're direct to seller before they get to a realtor. A realtor's job is to get the highest price they can for that mobile home park owner. My job is to get the lowest price. So you're beating your head up against the wall trying to get with realtors who are going to find you a pocket. Now, granted, you can get some deals from pocket listings from realtors, right? But if they're already listed on MLS, it's not a deal, right? Let the idiots go and buy at full price, right? I use my expertise in what I've learned in the wholesale game, going direct to seller and finding heavily discounted off-market properties from motivated sellers to capture the most equity, so that I hedge myself against market volatility, the ups and downs of the market. Because if I can buy, at 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar, I'm hedging my bets against, we have market crashes like we're about to have right now, right?
Yeah.
People that paid there's going to be a lot of people that can get hurt right now. They paid a super premium for properties at the top of the market, and values are going to come down. So that's why I always buy value add property. If I can't, listen, guys, this may sound shitty. If I can't steal it, I'm not buying it. Okay. But it sounds shitty, but I'm not a retail buyer. I'm an investor, right? If you want to go buy full retail because you feel sorry for somebody or you want to be fair, listen, real estate investing is not about being fair. It's about hedging your bets so you don't lose. So that means you're not necessarily going to be fair. Yeah, right. You want to be fair? Go be a realtor. Like, that's being fair. I don't want to be fair. I want to hedge my bets so that I can feed my kids, because if I overpay and I give you a fair price at the top of the market, when the market comes down, guess who got screwed? I got screwed, right? So you got to learn how to negotiate. You got to learn how to buy value add deals from motivated sellers. And not everybody's motivated, and that's okay. You may have to talk to 30 apartment owners or mobile home park owners before you find that one motivated seller who's maybe made a lot of bad decisions with the park and sucked all the equity out of it, never reinvested capital improvements back into it. That's 90% of the parks I buy is from old baby boomers who never reinvested capital back into the parks, and they end up giving it away for pennies on the dollar to me. That's who I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at these mobile home park communities, what about it, as far as value add components, are you typically looking at doing?
I either haul in brand new mobile homes, or I buy used mobile homes I got 3 tiers. I got brand new that I'll buy from the dealerships that I have negotiated good pricing with. Then I have used mobile homes that I'll get that are maybe 10, 15 years old that I could pick up for $2,500 to maybe $8-10 grand. And then I have really used mobile homes from the 80s or early 90s that I pick up for $500 to $1,000 that might need 5,000 to 8,000 worth of work. It depends on the location of that park. Obviously, if the park is in a C-class area, I'm not going to put a bunch of brand new trailers, or maybe a D-plus area. I'm going to I'm going to buy some used trailers. So it all depends on location, desirability of that area, and what I can get in rent, right? And what the other trailers look like in that park. If you know, if you have a bunch of trailers in there from the early 80s, early 90s, and you know, they got maybe there's 10 more spots in there that need to be that you can haul new trailers in there. I'm not going to put a bunch of brand new trailers in there. I'm going to go find me some early 80s, early 90s trailers that I can get for pennies. I'm going to haul them in there using my direct to seller marketing. And y'all can run a Facebook ad saying, hey, we buy used mobile homes. I'll get people that give me their trailers. Or I'll get motivated sellers that'll sell me their trailers for $1,000 that they paid $35,000 for 5 years ago, right? Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how you hedge your bets. That's how you keep the equity in your deal fat, and you protect yourself. Mm-hmm. Right now, I just bought a park in Gonzales, Louisiana, which is a nicer area in Louisiana, and it's nicer units in there. I got a few people that are just paying lot rent that are probably going to move their trailers soon. I'm going to put brand new trailers in there because it's the standard, the rent in there. I'm getting $1,000 to $1,100 in rent a month. So I'm going to put some brand new trailers. So I can get a brand new trailer for $40,000 installed. And I don't have to worry about maintenance. And it just keeps it's price, location, motivation. I use that triangle: price, meaning how much equity can I capture in a deal? Location, how desirable of a location that is, and motivation, right? You know, how motivated is the homeowner? And that's how I evaluate these mobile home parks, or any deal for that matter, right? But it just depends on what you want to match the trailers in that park and the income of that area. If it's a poor area, like I said, I'm not going to go put brand new trailers. Just It's common sense, right? The problem with common sense is it's just not that common these days. Just use your head, guys.
So I'm wondering, you know, as far as, because you mentioned two aspects of it. One, I guess if there are existing mobile homes there and there are people living in them, either they are owned by those individuals and they're just renting the lot, right? And then the vacant
Correct.
ones, you put new mobile homes there. And then those you're going to collect a rent for that actual space, right?
Yep. Yeah, you got lot rent, and you've got park. You got park owned trailers, and you got tenant owned trailers, right? Mm-hmm. I like to own the parks, because I can get lot rent. I can get $200, $250, but if I own the trailer, I'm able to get $900, right? I'd rather have 3 times the amount of income by owning the trailer, right? Mm-hmm. Some people don't like that model. They don't, because you have maintenance when you get into that, right? You have to deal with maintenance and all that. It depends on what your lifestyle is. If you want to have that, I mean, I have 3 full-time maintenance crews that go around fixing stuff, and so I'm not worried about it. You just have to ask yourself what kind of business you want. You want a super profitable business, but you have a little bit more headache, or do you want way more of a passive business where you just collect lot rent? If you don't have a team like I do, then I would suggest just do lot rent. If you have a full-time job, maybe you're a high net worth earner, you make, maybe you make $500,000, $250,000 a year at your job, and you don't have a whole lot of time, it's probably not a good idea for you to buy a park that requires a bunch of maintenance. You may want to just look at just doing lot rent, because they have to worry about their own maintenance. But if somebody that's full time like me, who that's all we do is real estate investing, and you have a team, it makes a lot of sense to own the trailers. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we have the time, the resources, and the team built around handling all the problems.
Yeah. So another thought that came to mind is as far as like a couple of things, typical size of these mobile home communities, and also amenities. Like, are there typically any amenities like you'd find with multifamily, or how would that work in these mobile home communities?
Not typically. It's amenities come with premiums on rent. If you got a pool, you got a gym, you got all this on site, it's usually a high end. It no longer becomes affordable, right? Mm-hmm. If you have to add all that. Most parks don't have any of that. None of the parks I have any of that stuff. It's affordable housing, right? It's you paying you're paying a super discounted price for rent, so you're not going to have all those amenities. Now, they do have these nicer parks that people are building, like in Florida. I mean, you got tens of thousands of baby boomers moving to Florida every year. My next play may be I may build a park from scratch and make it a 55 and older community. And then what I've seen, and I'm telling you what I've seen. I haven't done this yet. I'm just telling you what I see a lot of other people doing. Is they're building these parks 55 and older. You have to have a brand new trailer. They're just charging a lot rent if you bring your own trailer, or you can put the park owner can put a trailer in there, but they usually put in brand new. And they have like a civic center in the middle for all the old people to gather around, and then they have like picnics and like a commons area for 55 and older. But it's more of a higher end mobile home park. Mm-hmm. Where people are paying a premium, right? Because they have all those amenities. Mm-hmm. So that's a good model too. I mean, you got 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. Every single day, 10,000 baby boomers are retiring. A lot of those people are moving to Florida and selling their single family homes. And they just want something easy and cheap. They don't have to cut their grass. And that's kind of, I think that's the new wave, man. The wave of the future. Affordable housing and senior living is the wave of the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually speaking to an investor in Florida. I can't remember exactly what part of Florida he's from, but one of the things that he mentioned that you just kind of mentioned was how a lot of people are moving to Florida. One of the interesting things that he looked at was he not only looked at the number of people, but he also looked at the actual level of wealth that was moving to Florida. And I think what he found was it was like somewhere of like 3 times, like higher as far as the amount of wealth moving to Florida versus other places, like even Houston, those areas on the West Coast. It just seems as though there's a lot of wealth moving to Florida right now. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think over the next 20 years, America is going to change a whole lot. I think you've got countries that are just so bankrupt, like California and New York, and you better really think. I'm from Louisiana. I still have a house in Louisiana. I'm at my Florida house in Destin, Florida now. I have a place in Orange Beach, Alabama. We are planning on moving here full time. I'm about to go back to Louisiana for probably 6 months to take care of a bunch of loose ends. But you hit the nail on the head, dude. Like this, if you look at the demographics, you look at what's happening. Florida is economically speaking a powerhouse. And it's only going to get better and better because more and more people are transferring all their wealth over here. You don't pay any state tax over here. It's just that they've made it so advantageous for business owners to start over here. Plus you have all the baby boomers moving. I mean, I don't want to be stuck in Louisiana, right? Louisiana is a dying state. We lost 18% of our population since 2014 when the oil crashed.
Wow.
And it first crashed into that. And you have to pay attention to this stuff, guys. I got a lot of friends and family back home that are hurting really bad right now because they haven't diversified. Like, just because you're born in one city and state does not mean you need to stay there for the rest of your life. Like, you're a human being. Like, you're mobile. Like, look at you. You're in Beijing, China right now. Are you from Beijing?
No, I'm not. No, I'm from Ohio.
There you go. You're from Ohio. But yeah. Beijing, China probably got a lot of opportunity there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Follow the money, right? Follow the money wherever it goes. I mean, it's as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
And exactly. I'm following the money to Florida.
Yeah.
And mobile home parks and affordable housing.
Nice. So what would you say to new people that were looking at getting started? What would be a key piece of advice you'd have for them?
It depends on what walk of life you're in. What season of life are you in? If you're just getting started and you're a young 20-year-old and you have no real estate experience at all and you have no money or you have minimal money, you should start with learning how to wholesale. If you have a little bit of money and you have a little bit of experience in real estate, you should learn how to wholesale also, but maybe learn how to wholesale and flip and build up wealth. If you already got a couple $1 million net worth and you got maybe a $700,000-$800,000 liquid cash in your account or more or less, let's say maybe $400,000 or $500,000 cash, you probably don't need to look at wholesaling and flipping houses. You need to look at where can I park that money in a good asset, and affordable housing is going to be where it's at. Now, before you ask me, well, how do I buy a good affordable housing deal? That's a whole nother game. Like, you have to hunt, right? That's why I have the direct to seller marketing business that I'm in, which is wholesaling. I wrote a book about this called The Source of the Deal. This is why I wholesale, because I want to be the source of the deal. I want to have access to the best deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, even if you have a lot of money, going around buying properties just because you got a lot of money, you want to park that is idiotic, right? You better buy value add deals in good locations with some equity in them, but not to the point where you buy a property for so cheap because it was such a good deal because you heard it was like an 18-20 cap. It ain't worth catching a cap, right? Because the higher the cap rate, typically it's a bad location. You might catch a cap. I've done that. I've been victim to that where I've bought, oh man, I'm buying this for 45 cents on the dollar. Let's just buy it, even though it's a bad area. No, I'll never do that again. You want to stay. If you got to bring an AK-47 to collect rent, it's not worth buying. I don't care how cheap it is or how high the cap rate is, right? Stay in the sweet spot. Stay in the working class, middle class, and below, but not so poor and down at the bottom where it's like, everybody's a gangbanger and a drug addict and a hooker, right? Because there's neighborhoods like that. That's all. And then there's investors that buy that. That's not for me. I want to be a step or two above that. I don't want to be in, upper middle class. I maybe want to be in middle class and below, but not so much at the very bottom, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you just mentioned a book. So what was the name of that book again?
I wrote a book called The Source of the Deal. You can get a free copy at thesourceofthedeal.com. And it's all about becoming the source of the deal, how to find deals, wholesaling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Direct to seller marketing. And that book right there and that strategy will help you on your real estate investing career. If you start with doing that, you'll get access to the best deals. You know how to find deals. You'll by the basic natural progression of learning how to wholesale, you become a real estate investor because you have to learn valuations, you have to learn to negotiate, you have to learn how to make offers, you have to learn to gauge motivation, you have to learn how to see what things cost to fix. These are the basic skill sets you're going to need to be a really good real estate investor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of reminds me.
At the end of the day,
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, all wholesaling is.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. There seems to be a bit of a delay, but go ahead.
Yeah, the delay. At the end of the day, if you're not in real estate, but maybe you understand stocks and all that stuff, you're a stock trader. At the end of the day, all wholesaling is just day trading real estate. All you're doing is day trading real estate. You're buying at one price and reselling for another price, right? But it's a lot more predictable and there's not as much volatility in real estate as there is a stock market. And I can predict and forecast and foresee what's going to happen more in real estate than I can in the stock market.
Yeah. So how could our listeners get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out?
Yeah, if they're interested in my program, they can go. I teach people how to do all this. I teach people how to wholesale real estate, flip, wholesale. I even got a mobile home park investing course. They can go to chrisrood.com and book a call with me and my team, see if they're interested in, learning how to do this. Or you can just follow me at Chris Rood Entrepreneur on Facebook, or follow me at Real Estate Rood on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn at Chris Rood. And I got a YouTube channel. I've got 150 videos on YouTube. You can follow me on YouTube and go subscribe.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Chris, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge here. We really appreciate that.
Hey, man, no problem. I appreciate you having me.